Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I really appreciate being able to gather with you tonight to honor two very important people, Michael Koss and my friend of many years, Richard Ziman. Richard first told me months ago that he had been selected to receive the Jewish Federation's Lifetime Achievement Award, and of course I wanted to be there to support him. I was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. this week with a delegation of council members, but when I heard Richard was going to get the award, we changed our schedule. We went to D.C. last week so that I could be here today. However, when he asked me to come, neither of us knew what was going to transpire in the world. That was well before the atrocities of October 7th. Before the vicious Hamas attacks and the thousands of civilians murdered and the hundreds of people abducted. We spoke before the death and the displacement in Israel. We spoke before the vicious attacks and the more than 1,400, mostly civilian Israelis murdered and the more than 200 people abducted. We spoke before 300,000 IDF reservists, including some from Los Angeles, were called up to defend Israel. We spoke before what happened early this morning, when two Angelenos who moved here from Israel had someone break into their home, yelling threats and insults based on their faith. So let me just say this unequivocally. The vile and disgusting acts of hate that took place this morning has no place in this city. The people of the city of Los Angeles stand with the people of Israel, and I, as your mayor, stand with you. I spoke to the family. I don't know if people are aware that the wife is due to expect the baby in 2 weeks. And I asked her how she was doing, the stress of what happened today. I wish that I was up here saying something completely different, that we were just celebrating two remarkable men and their extraordinary contributions to the Jewish community. And I know that we'll get to that. But first, I wanted to express my deep concern, not only for the families of those killed, injured, or kidnapped, but also for how directly this is affecting those in this room and residents across the city. In Hollywood tonight, there is a vigil for two young women who grew up attending a synagogue there, who were killed at the music festival 2 weeks ago. I know there are many families in Los Angeles who have an empty seat at the table because their young ones have been called as reservists to serve. Since the attacks, I've talked to friends with families in Israel and heard about their fear of losing their loved ones. I've met with leaders like the Consul General Bahar to thank him for the work he continues to do on behalf of Angelenos in Israel. I've spoken to leaders at the federal level, like the Homeland Security Secretary when I was there last week with the delegation of council members from Homeland Security about what the department is doing to prevent and to respond to targeted violence in our communities. I've heard many times recently how alone people are feeling in this moment. I want you to know that I will do all I can to help Angelenos feel safe and be safe during this difficult time. Many of you might know that I grew up in a predominantly Jewish community on Fairfax and Venice, and I went to school right up the street from there at Hamilton High. Some of my friends growing up during those years, their parents were Holocaust survivors, and I remember when I saw their tattoos, and I learned at a very young age what that meant. But I also learned in that time and from those elders, I also learned what solidarity meant. And that is the true power of this city, the coalition, the collaboration, the unity for a better tomorrow. In the face of tragedy, we must do the hard work to keep our broken hearts open to the humanity of every child and every innocent life, touched by this violence and to work for a better future. We must come together in times of sorrow and in times of great joy, which is why we come together tonight to celebrate two men who have dedicated their entire lives to the betterment of this city, the lives of all of us here this evening. And I want to say to both Michael and Richard that the city of Los Angeles thanks you for all that you have done. And just a special word to Richard, who I have known for many years and who has stood with me through very tough times. And I know former Governor Gray Davis is here too. I don't know exactly where you are, Governor, but what I do know about you and Richard is that when I had the honor and privilege of being Speaker of the Assembly at the beginning of the Great Recession in 2008 and 2010, and I was overwhelmed by my responsibility, Governor Davis was there for me, and Richard Ziman was there for me. Guiding me and telling me what was going to happen with the economy, and Richard has been a guide and an advisor to me ever since then. And that's why I was so excited to know that he was going to receive something so well-deserved for all that he has done for our city. And it is such an honor for me to be here and bring greetings to everyone, but it's a special honor to be here for Richard Ziman. Thank you.